Hello, this video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon and my members on YouTube. Minasan, arigatou gozaimasu. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation. It's an exercise that I do each morning a little bit after waking up. It's now 5:06 a.m. on the 12th day of January 2024, day 338 in my countdown to retirement. Boy, that's nerve-wracking not nerve-wracking, too harsh a phrase. It's jostling to the mind to say that. I just can't imagine giving up work. Day 338 to retirement. Man, it's a good thing that I'm counting this down. It really is sobering. That's a better word to look at that. It's scary to me to imagine the other side. I know I'm blessed is the word I'll use. Blessed, fortunate, very exceedingly lucky to have this opportunity to stop working at age 60. Yet, it's hard to imagine that life. I've known no other. Back on track. This exercise is, I do a couple of things. One, I think about my life, objectives and principles, those which I'll outline in my book, Going Alone. You can get a link. You can get a copy from the link down in the bookstore, down in the video description. Boy, am I all flustered or what? Can't even collect my routine thoughts. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours. I prepare for the coming day, and I ready myself for death. But I always like to kick things off with a poem. And this morning, I'm going to give Walt Whitman one more try. This is my third earnest attempt in my life to read Walt Whitman, and so far it's not going as well as the first two. He just doesn't do it for me. But I'm going to try. I just picked a poem from the middle of the book. It had an interesting title. Aboard at a ship's helm. I'm going to read this. Let's see. Aboard at a ship's helm. Aboard at a ship's helm, a young steersman steering with care through fog on a sea coast dolefully ringing. An ocean bell, oh, a warning bell, rocked by the waves. Oh, you give good notice indeed, you bell by the sea reefs ringing, ringing, ringing to warn the ship from its wreck place. For as on the alert, O steersman, you mind the loud admonition. The bows turn, the freighted ship tracking speeds away under her gray sails. The beautiful and noble ship with all her precious wealth speeds away gaily and safe. But oh, the ship, the immortal ship, oh, ship aboard the ship, ship of the body, ship of the soul, voyaging, voyaging, voyaging. I get it. So the earthly warning, caution, save the ship. But what about the ship within the soul? I think he speaks of. I think that's one of the things that really doesn't interest me. I mean, it just, since I'm not convinced of a soul, it's like fiction, in a way, and I prefer my poetry that's grounded more in the reality of the world as I can sympathetically experience it, more like what Edward Thomas writes. Although there's a poem here just immediately following, On the Beach at Night, that sounds interesting. I might try that poem next. The world below the brine. A lot of sea references here. I'll bookmark this page, earmark it, and I'll continue. I think Whitman might just have me by a little bit, right? If it wasn't for that, a soul bit. And it's not a objection necessarily. It just doesn't interest me. It would be like a TV show, watching a TV show, even though I might find the characters interesting, the nice photography, nice videography, etc. If they were talking about a subject that I wasn't interested in, or didn't find compelling, or even engaging, like shopping, turns out it's a shopping show, I just wouldn't. Even if there's good actors and good acting, I wouldn't be interested. That's how it is with Whitman. So much of his stuff keeps rounding about to the eternal soul, and it's like, might as well, bargain perfumes on sale, I'm going to turn the channel. That's how I feel about his poems. But I'll give a couple more, at least one more. Boink. Okay, let's talk about last night and yesterday. I slept all right yesterday. I should start giving these things like a number. Like I've got a little space here. I can put it right next to there. I would, if 0 being a no sleep, just terrible, like a sleepless night, 10 being just perfect sleep, I would rank last night's sleep as a 7.5. I wasn't awake and tumbling and turning around or anything like that. In fact, after the alarm went off, I actually did a rare thing. I slept in for 20 minutes. Rare. That's why I'm running a little late this morning. I almost never do that. So I got a little extra sleep. But I don't feel rested this morning. I think it might be the wind and maybe some touch of allergies. So 7.5 for my sleep. I like that, a little scale there. Then I could measure it. I could graph it. Wouldn't that be interesting? I'll tell you about something in just a second. So the rest of the day was good, solid day of work. Did all my duty. Then now it's more like, lately at work, I feel more like a batter even though I don't play sports, I feel like a good batter in a baseball team that, his job is to show up and hit a home run. I can do my job capably with just about everything. Although I did have an incident yesterday at work, one meeting, my last meeting, where I told Yumiko during my walk that I was out of my element. It was a fiscal meeting, talking with the accounting part of the software. And they were talking about the ins and outs of the complexities of the accounting as applied to the software functionality. And I quickly tuned out and lost interest because I just don't know anything about accounting. Now, 5 years ago, in that same situation, in a professional setting, I would have said, "Oh, Kurt, here you go. Here's the shore of some part of professionalism, your professional world that you don't know about. You can get in a little rowboat and start rowing out into it and find some islands out there. Learn about accounting," right? Crappy analogy, but you get my idea, right? I would have looked at it as an opportunity to set out to pay close attention, take some careful notes, learn the accounting terminology, vocabulary as the meeting's going on. You have Google on one screen and Googling the terms that I don't know, et cetera, so that I can come up to speed and add another tool to my professional tool belt. No, not yesterday. I've got 338 days left in this game. I don't plan to use these skills anymore, although I know it's nice to keep them fresh. I'm just not engaged to do this. Like, I keep getting these inquiries on LinkedIn to attend classes and do et cetera, and take trainings, even to go get a master's degree, an MBA, and et cetera, to further my career. The hell with that. I just decline all those things now. It doesn't mean I'm not in for learning. I just don't care about learning that stuff anymore. I don't give a damn about professional skills related to project management or analysis work anymore. That part of my life that's like a man that spent his whole life baking bread, right? I mean, I don't plan to bake bread anymore. I don't need to know anything about refining dough or the various ins and outs of flour or mixing sugars, whatever the hell bakers do. You get the point, right? But so I showed up for everything. Bam, bam, bam. I knocked a couple of good balls out of the park yesterday. Bam, because I'm good at a couple of things. That one meeting wasn't one of them, but that's okay. It's okay. I was there to shepherd, to make sure that that particular meeting was a testing feedback meeting, where the meeting was between the accounting team and the vendor to give testing feedback loop. So I didn't need to be necessarily engaged unless there was a intractable problem that they needed me to somehow to step in to facilitate the IT organization to help fix, and there wasn't, so it was okay. Take a look at this checklist from yesterday. That's yesterday's checklist. Almost everything was knocked out except these two items on the personal side. I needed to go to the post office and this other thing. I didn't do that yesterday. I was hoping to go to post office during the lunch break because there wasn't enough time. Um, I knew that was the case. When I put it on the list, I knew I couldn't go to the post office because there just isn't enough time. I knew I wouldn't be able to do that, but sometimes I put things on the list just so that I can then have them, and if they don't get handled this day, which I knew this one wouldn't, I'll then promote it to, as I like to say, I love to use that word, to the next day's list, and here's today's list. No work site because it's a day off for me. I've got a star next to this one right here. That's the one where I'm going to talk to Paul from the pet shipping center. Pretty sure we're going to pull the trigger and use the pet shippers. I know we could do it ourselves, figure it all out, but I don't want to take the risk of the dogs being stuck in quarantine or being rejected and not being able to get into Japan. It's going to be expensive, $7,600 to ship the dogs over. My boss told me, I had a meeting with him, and he said, Kurt, with regard to this retirement thing, if you want to stay longer, it's up to you, So says you want to stay another month, another year, and you make it December 2025. So I don't have that rush to get the hell out of here. If I need to pay some extra, if I need to, I expect this move is going to cost $50,000 plus to get everybody across safely and completely. That's excluding the price of the buying the house. It's not related to that at all. Just for all the logistics. I might keep working a little bit longer, although it would make sense to pull the trigger to end work, then begin to kick in the pension, which then I could get a part-time job or full-time job, even continue doing what I'm doing, ride my skills a little bit further without the accounting tools, and then also have the retirement income coming in and my salary. That's a smarter move. Although it would mean I would have to get another job. But anyway, I think we're going to pull the trigger on that. I have a few simple questions I want to ask them. I don't know what those questions are. Oh, I know what they are. I can kind of write them down right here. Paul. Might as well do them. I have them in mind. You can overhear them. One is I want to ask him about the logistics change. What happens if we change the shipping date? Second question, I want to ask about the free crates. Pet crates. 3, I want to ask you, who will I work with? Those are the 3 questions. I don't think I'll be ready to pull the trigger and give them the deposit and get this piece of the puzzle started. Okay, the thing I put a mark in just a minute ago, I had this crazy idea last night. I was watching Midnight Diner while Yumiko cooked dinner, and I had this idea that when I'm living in Japan, for a time, I might switch things up. I might become a creature of the night. Midnight Diner, in the restaurant, the fictitious restaurant from the Golden Street in Tokyo. It's open from midnight to 7 a.m. And so he's a night owl. I was thinking, what if I lived like that for a while? Got up and walked the silence, empty streets of Japan from midnight to 7, living my life that way for a time, going to parks, shrines, temples, haunted bridges and tunnels, reporting from the midnight side of life in Japan. Wouldn't that be interesting? Let's put a pin in that. Okay, so that's pretty much yesterday. Good solid day of work. I've got 4 days off now. Today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is a holiday. Wow. Seems like I've had a lot of these lately. I think this is about the end of it. Still kicking myself about that big ChatGPT purchase. I bought the Teams version of ChatGPT when I really didn't need it. It facilitated, Yumiko is starting to use it, and she's been using my account. I felt guilty about that. 2 of us on one account. So I decided to upgrade to the Teams version. It's double the cost, more than double the cost. And so I gave them one big payment of $600 to last us through the year for those 2 of us. Okay, here's another approach at it. Is it worth it? Is $600 a good value for what I'm getting out of access to this AI? Would I pay $600 for access for myself? Absolutely. So yeah, there's that. But cash is dear, you know, finishing off Emily's dummy, finishing off. So we still have months and months of Emily's apartment to pay off. The school fees are all paid off, etc. But I didn't need to do that. I could have ridden that a little bit, but I did. But it's been haunting me in my mind. Keeps coming up in my mind. Idiot, idiot, why did you do that? You didn't need to do that. You could have just ridden it out and let Emily use yours. I could have done that. I just didn't feel good about it. Excuse me. All right, let's move on to the Good Life Creed. Today I'm going to talk about, before I recite the creed, I'm going to talk about the principle titled, That Which Must Be Born. The principle called, excuse me, I'm trying this again. The principle called That Which Must Be Born suggests that the things that we encounter in our lives that we cannot avoid or control, that are outside of the scope of our control, yet nevertheless occur to us, like getting an illness we couldn't avoid, or being in a traffic accident that wasn't our fault, or that we couldn't avoid, even if it was our fault. Requiring some sort of debt in our life, like this thing I did with a recent purchase that I made, that probably didn't need to make. Good timing. I was just kicking myself before I started talking about this, about a purchase that I made that I really didn't need to make, but the trigger has been pulled, the money has been sent, the transaction is complete. Now, I have to bear that. Born as in carried, not birthed. That which must be born are the things that are outside of our control, or the consequences of the decisions that we make that might have been better otherwise decided. We have to bear those things. The trick is to do it in such a way as to not be overly focused on the weight, or to be overly complaining about it, or resentful, or to let that bear us down unnecessarily, to carry it with as much strength as we can, to the best of our ability, and for as long as we can, in spite of the burden and the weight. I guess that was timely that I thought about that. I remembered this purchase just in time to reflect on this principle. That which must be born, the weight that we must carry. Now, does that mean that we can't shed it off? With maturity and reason and fortitude, we can. For example, when this purchase comes up to renew in a year, I can stop and ask myself, what would be the better way to do it? Is this good value? Was this the right way to do it? Should I switch to the month to month? What is the better approach? And then execute a better plan of action, or compose a better plan of action and then execute it accordingly. That which must be born can also be a means to do better going forward. It is the stuff of wisdom, the fuel, the kindle of the flame of better, the flame of reason. No, that sounds crappy. It is the stuff that we burn. There you go. It is the stuff that we burn that becomes part of the conflagration of our folly. The conflagration of folly. I like that. It stumbles off the conflagration that burns and warms us as we deliberate better in the future. It's part of the reason why we get better with age, usually, often, if we try, if we remember, and if we endeavor to bear that which must be borne. All right, the creed, 8 objectives are as follows. To be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize true limits and true opportunities, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully, and to maintain our balance. The 35 principles now are, and these objectives and principles come from my book, Going Alone, the chapter titled The Good Life. This is the Good Life Creed. Here we go, 35 principles. Can I get them all in the right order? War, reason, homunculus, anchorhold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, nature, pirate ride, maturity, social principle, family, public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be borne, the feast of offal, distraction, agency, and the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, the principle of fun, and being ready or being prepared. What did I do? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 35. Got them all. Almost stumbled a couple times though, huh? Okay, now as for today, what am I going to do today? What's on my list so far? I've got 17 items, including the poem that I read. Well, I'll have to make a little short poem video upload for that, and then a video which I will title The Conflagration of Folly, which will be the expression of the principle, that which must be born. That gives me 17 items on my list, including my beach swim. I've already knocked off about 5 of those. I'm well on my way. It's now 5:24 a.m. I have my meeting with Paul at 8 o'clock. Emily might call us, I think, is it today or maybe tomorrow, to talk about her job offer. She got a good job offer, a really good job offer, a really good job offer in Tokyo for a known quantity. And now the time has come to decide. And she's so funny because she was telling me how she just wants to graduate. And I remember feeling the same way at the same time in my schooling, just want to finish this and get on with life. What I told Yumiko yesterday was, it's like, how do you express it to the young? At least in the current paradigm of life, that next stage is a 35, 40-year sentence of hard labor for most of us. And it looks like Emily's headed down that same road too. Some people actually do kind of facilitate and plan out a particular course, have a particular goal in mind. I want to be a dentist, or a veterinarian, or a doctor, or whatever the case may be, or an entrepreneur. And they facilitate that course of action. That doesn't mean that it's going to work out well. I mean, because being a dentist is the veterinarian or a doctor and all the above are tough jobs. It may not be what you like. And then what? What if you go to all that schooling to become a pharmacist and then you hate it? It's even harder. In some ways, going just as far as Emily's going with a bachelor's degree in something as general as public relations and communications, which is funny because that's exactly the route I suggested to her when she started out, because it's the advice that was given to me by my father. My father said, when I asked him, what should I study in college? He said, learn to communicate, learn to listen and understand what people are saying, and learn to express yourself in such a way that other people can clearly understand what you're trying to say, and the world will be yours no matter where your career takes you, right? Because that's the underlying lubricating essence of any successful career, is the ability to have the successful human give and take. So that's what I did. I changed my major from biology to speech communication along those lines. Emily kind of did the same thing. So she's going to have that same monkey wrench tool, so to speak, and very adjustable. You can adjust it to fit. What she doesn't perhaps know, and I wouldn't expect her to know, is that what's to follow typically after university is a life of hard work, especially once you onboard marriage and family. Although it gets easier with marriage because then you have two and you consolidate. But then once the children arrive, it's got its ups, of course. It's good stuff. It all depends a lot on your mental stability and your effort, but still, it's a lot of hard work. I'm just on the other side of that. I'm just getting out of the prison. I'm the man, Yumiko and I are about to walk out of the prison gate with our clothes folded in between our arms and $40 in our pocket from the warden and a bus ticket to Japan. It's like, what? And I'm getting a bad haircut. What the hell? I had no idea that graduating university was just the start of a 4-decade long. Well, in honesty, I graduated at 24, so 3.5 decades. But I was working all through college, so 4 decades. I started work at around 18, between 18 and 20 in earnest. It's been more than 4 decades of work. Who knew? Going to all that schooling would result in that. And it's been good. I mean, I wouldn't. Schooling was worth it. Go to college, even if you never get a good job as a result of it. Go to school for the sake of the school. Oh my God, it's the best thing you could possibly do. Go to get a good liberal education. I'm talking about liberal arts education, not political education. Go get a good liberal arts education. Broaden the mind. Onboard the tools of reason. Expose yourself to great literature, to expanded realms of thought. To learning the critical mechanisms of thinking, and to have your own biases and worldview challenged, be exposed to other ways of thinking in those capacities, be forced to write well, held to account to write well, be forced to learn corpuses of information that, like when I'm specifically referring to there was when I was studying biology. I had to learn the phylums of the insect kingdom, and I can still remember them to this day. Beetles are order Coleoptera, butterflies are order Lepidoptera. I don't know, these things, and poems that I had to learn, the volumes of great literature that I had to read, the poems that I had to read and memorize. They're in there, and they became the foundation of everything that I built. I couldn't have written going alone if it hadn't been for all of that. So, yeah, whether or not, whatever it is, in fact, the university time might be the best time at all, because after that, then the sentence begins, the 4 decades of hard labor. So Emily might call today to ask our opinion, to talk to us about that, and because she's got this good job offer. It's going to be a hard job. It's going to be a good job. It's going to be a hard job, though. Welcome to life after university, Emily. Am I ready to die? Are my affairs in order? Yes. Are my relationships? Although there's one thing I want to work on today. It's that second thing on the list that I didn't do yesterday. I'll tell you what it is. I make a good living, but we're cash strapped for the last year or so. Getting Emily through this last year of school, her college fund ran out 2 years ago, about halfway through. So ever since then, we didn't have any extra money for her college, and we've been paying it out of ourselves, which has basically wiped us out. It's forced us to go into debt. Yumiko and I have basically onboarded in credit card debt what we did not manage to save for Emily's college, and that's okay. I'm now 59.5. I'm beyond that, and we have our retirement savings. I can access that and apply that to pay that off if I want, and it will have a dent in our savings. Don't think I'm going to do that, though. What I'm going to do is try to pay it off as soon as the family's gone. I don't have to pay for this expensive place, and I'm paying two rents right now, this place and Emily's apartment. Emily's gone. I won't have to pay her school anymore. I won't have to pay that extra rent anymore. Once the family's away, we'll have to, send money to Yumiko because she won't be working to support her in Japan, and I'll break it down to simple life here. I'm going to then aggressively pay down that credit. So what I'm going to do here to pay off the student loans, so to speak, it's not a student loan. It's a credit loan. So I know it's a stupid idea. It's not a good vehicle to pay it off. I know that, but we did it. What I'm thinking about doing, because I've got a good credit rating, is moving all of that into a 0% card. If you balance transfer, it's at 0% for a year, and then they sock it to you with whatever's left, and then I don't have to pay the interest, and then pay it down, use that vehicle to pay it down, and then take whatever I can before that year's up, and then grab a little bit of the retirement savings and knock it off. The tricky thing is, do I want to pull the trigger and end? I don't want to end my career. Well, it's not end my career. I don't want to stop working until that's done, right? I want to keep chugging away at it. That's the thing that's balanced. So I'm pretty much sure I'm going to go for the dog shipping thing, even though it's expensive, $7,500. But that would only be another half year or so. Never mind, I'm doing math. So my affairs are not in order to the extent that there's that. But I mean, the affairs in order to the extent that if I was to die, that my family would be okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's the credit cards couldn't come after them. They're in my name. So that's good. Are my relationships sound? Yeah. And is my life's work complete? Yeah. It's all good. I think I'll stop there. Got a big day ahead of me. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.
Okay, いってらっしゃい。